So I kind of feel like I went a little bit full-on pumpkin spice latte on my eyelids today, and I think it's kind of funny and I kind of enjoyed it, so I think that's all that matters. I hope you guys enjoy it. Anywho, let's get on to fashion design with Hannah. Today we'll be going over how to upcycle and reinstall denim shank buttons, otherwise known as jean shank buttons. They have many names somehow. I had been working on a little denim vest for my doggo Klondike. Yes, again, it's being going over again. If you haven't seen that video, it's really cute and involves my little Shih Tzu Klondike, and I made him a Halloween denim vest, so he's a little bit of a punk to match his punk spirit. I'll link that in the description below, or possibly just within this video. Yes, this is the last video involving Klondike and his little denim vest, but he might show up in future videos, so if that's something you like, go ahead and mention that in comments below and I'll see what I can do. Maybe I'll just start making him mini dog clothing to show you human clothing practices. And I want to be as sustainable as possible in my designs, so I wanted to upcycle as much of my old jeans as I possibly could, and that also involved using the denim shank button so I could close the little vest for Klondike. So I figured out a way how to not destroy the denim shank button in the process of removing them, and then add them back onto another item. If you have any other ways of sustainable design that you'd like to add in the comments below, feel free to do so. I'll be doing a video on sustainability at some point, so look forward to that if that is your thing. Now, I didn't forget, today is the day that I announced the winner of the sewing machine giveaway, and I'll be announcing the winner at the end of the video. Without further ado, let's get on to the upcycling. Alright, so I planned out my shank buttons to go on the vest, and I realized that I needed 4 shank buttons. Now, I actually happen to have a pair that had 4 shank buttons, and I have already removed 2, and I would love to share my method with you on how to safely and effectively remove the shank button, but keep it intact so you can apply it to another garment. It's a great way to recycle or upcycle. It looks like this. So here's the part that you see on the front of the fabric, and here is the shank that's on the back. So for this, you're gonna need a seam ripper or some sort of sharp cutting tool. Some people use knives, although for me that is very high risk. I am a little bit danger prone, so I'm not doing that. Needle nose pliers and a large-ish flathead screwdriver. So compared to the shank button, this is the size of screwdriver I'm using. It's probably like, I don't know, 3/8 or so, 3/8 inch wide at the end. Now just know that the first one will probably be the worst for removing it. It took me about 15-20 minutes for the first one. For the second one, I removed within 3 minutes. So it definitely gets easier, but just know that the shank will go flying. So don't be near anything breakable or any person, aka like a child or a pet that will eat these. Hopefully you can keep track of them, and I honestly hope that I do not have this fly at my phone. So on the face side of the fabric and button, I'm going to put the needle nose pliers around the actual shank part and grip onto that. You're going to come on over to the other side and seam rip a little bit, so that way it's a little easier to get a hold of rivet. I guess you could say it's the rivet of the shank button. That way it's a little easier for you to get your screwdriver head underneath the rivet and leverage it out. So again, your technique will probably get better with time, but you do just have to be patient. So you're gonna start wiggling where you seam ripped it and grab onto the pliers and just start going at it. And once you start to feel it going, like truly releasing from the button, that's when you want to start aiming it towards the ground, table, or your lap, whatever is safest, simply so that way it doesn't go flying across the room and maybe towards a kid, someone's face, or a dog, or other animal that would eat this. And yes, that'll happen. I have already hit my hands a lot. I guess if you have some protective gloves, you could wear those, especially if you're using a knife or other really sharp edge. Please be careful. I also did notice that there are small metal debris, just small metal flakes that are slowly coming off, I think from the rivet, not from the screwdriver, so do be wary of that. Now this process also does go a lot easier if you don't care about upcycling the button and rivet, because you can just come in with some cutting pliers and just completely destroy the rivet and tear it apart. So say if you want to change out a denim button that you have that you don't like and then you don't care about the other shank button, you can totally just do that. Now I do feel this starting to lift a little, so that's great. Do attempt around the edge of the rivet, so that way you can evenly pull it apart and you don't ruin your chances of being able to reuse it. And yeah, you do have to have quite a bit of control on this. It probably looks very violent. Well, I'm sitting down for this simply so I can have a little bit more control. Oh! Oh no. Well, there you have it. Another time. This has happened the other 2 times. Or the rivet went flying somewhere and I have just the button. So this time I didn't even hear or see it go anywhere. So, oh, thank goodness. It's right here. The first one actually went flying all the way into the other room where Klondike was sitting, my little Shih Tzu, and he's known to just eat whatever he sees. He really loves attention and he knows he's gonna get it when he eats stuff. So that is how you do it. Now I'll also show you how to reattach them in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. As you install the denim shank buttons back on, make sure your buttonholes and your shank button placements match up. You'll want them to be in the middle, and you'll need a hammer for this along with your rivets and shank buttons. I would also suggest getting a wooden block to put underneath where you are going to be hammering, and or a cutting board like what I have underneath my vest right here. You also need an awl with a sharp point, as you can see here. Once you have everything together, we'll put the block underneath the side that you are going to hammer on and put the awl in the center of the mark where the shank button is going to go. Then you'll take your hammer and hammer a hole into the fabric. You'll need to do this for each button placement. If the tack or rivet that you are using can't pass through that hole, you can also use a seam ripper to widen it. You don't want it to be too wide or else the shank button might fall off. Once you're able to pass the rivet through the hole, you are then going to place the top half of the button on the top half of the fabric and hammer away. If you happen to break either piece of the shank button, keep in mind that you might be able to use hot glue on the rivet side and then place the top half of the button on the rivet and hammer that into place. It might not be as strong as an original shank button, so it is fully up to you whether or not you do that. Here's the final result, as cute as it can be. And I think we all know what comes next. And there you have it, a great way to upcycle denim shank buttons and use as much of your old denim jeans as you possibly can. So for the sewing machine giveaway, the winner is Kiara Nunez. So feel free to put your Instagram username or Facebook username so we can go ahead and get contact and set up. For now, thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like this video. I put out new videos every Thursday or Friday, depending on how the week went. And I'll see you next time. Bye! Anywho.